Today's video is brought to you by StoryboardThat.com. Please visit teachercast.net/storyboardthat for a limited time offer.
Welcome to the 31st episode of Principal Cast Podcast, hosted by Teresa Stagger, Jessica Johnson, and myself, Spike Cook. Principal Cast is a weekly roundtable discussion about current topics in education leadership. For more information, please visit www.principalcast.com. There's many ways to connect with Principal Cast besides our website. You can follow us on Twitter at Principal Cast, follow the hashtag PrincipalCast, and then also both our audio and video feeds are on iTunes. Episode 31, EdCamp USA and ISTE featuring Bob Dillon is brought to you today by StoryboardThat.com, the world's best storyboard creator. You can enjoy 25% off any purchase today at StoryboardThat.com/teachercast. Once again, StoryboardThat.com/teachercast. So we want to welcome to the show our very special guest, Bob Dillon. He's the Director of Technology and Innovation at the Afton School District in St. Louis, Missouri. His blog, Principally Speaking, was a finalist in the 2013 EduBlog Awards, and he's been blogging since way back in 2010. Welcome to the show, Bob.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to join you after stumbling across the podcast and listening to about the last 10 episodes. It's nice to be on and actually see you guys face to face.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're really excited because tonight we're going to be talking with you about your experience at EdCamp USA, and then also setting the stage for ISTE, because our next couple shows are going to be dealing with ISTE, so it's a really good transition. But before we go into our show, we usually do a sort of a weekly roundup of how we've been doing. It kind of helps as we reflect on the week. Sometimes, as you know, in education, it could be really crazy. Sometimes it's exciting, and then most of the times it's everything in between. So I guess we'll start out with you, Bob. How was your week?
I had a good week. I was in Memphis Wednesday, Tuesday. I bought a house on Monday.
Oh,
so
congratulations.
And then I was in Memphis Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday yeah. And so Father's Day, I took his stuff.
Wait, so you bought a house and then you went to Memphis?
Yeah. So
what were
I
you
was
doing in Memphis?
Memphis, a great conference down there, about 800 people. The Martin Institute Summer Learning Conference. It is a fantastic kind of like middle-sized conference, and they do a really great job of kind of public, private, independent, and I've just been able to present down there. Yeah, that's always a fun experience being down there, so they always treat me well.
That's awesome. Congratulations on all that.
Yeah,
Teresa, what's going on in your world?
Not a whole lot. I'm out of school, which is great. So I'm no longer a first-year principal. That's kind of exciting. I've just been doing checkout meetings with my teachers all week and trying to just catch up. I feel like this last week was the busiest week I've had all school year, and I wasn't even at work. So it's been kind of frustrating, But all in all, it's okay. We're going up to Traverse City this weekend, so we're all pretty excited because it's a vacation. It's our yearly vacation with my sister-in-law and brother-in-law and my husband and I. So we're kind of amping up for that and just trying to get policies and procedures down for next year. Yeah, just trying to kind of reorganize because when I came in, it was kind of a mess, and so we're trying to just get everything the way that we want it. So my secretary and I have been working a lot the last week, and luckily with computers and internet, there's not a whole lot that we have to be physically in the office for because we both have young kids, so it's nice to be able to be home and do that work. So that's kind of what we're looking at. What about you, Spike?
Well, I had probably one of those craziest weeks, because I think as starting tomorrow, we have like 7 days left. So last week just happened to be the craziest of crazy weeks. I mean, there was just the student discipline was on the rise, issues with staff, issues with everything that could be going on that could go on. So I think it was Thursday night. I get this email from Corwin because I've been working on this book that'll be released in the fall, and I actually got the cover artwork and the pre-order information, and I was like, and I actually did a blog about it because I'm like, this is exactly what I needed, like that it will be okay, that I just need to get through this because I'm telling you, it was just insane. The entire week was just. I'm sure everyone out there who has like the last couple weeks knows, what I'm going through. So, but Teresa, so you're done. Bob, is your school district done?
Yeah. So here in Missouri, my daughter's been off since the 23rd of May, and we finished on like the 28th or 29th. And so this is we're 2 full weeks past now, and so. As my role as director of innovation, we have a lot of summer work to do, but so we're grinding on that. But it's so much different when kids are gone. You guys know that, and so there's work to be done. But it's on a different pace, and so we've been out, and it feels good. But I always feel bad for my folks on the East Coast. It feels like you guys go until mid to late June, and that's just a different mindset than we have here in the Midwest for us, anyway.
Yeah, it's a whole nother ball game. I'm out early, but we're a parochial school, so the public schools are out either the end of this week or the end of next week. And when I was teaching in the school I was in before, it was the end of next week. And I don't know, but in Michigan it's a little bit different because we have a law that says we can't go to school until after Labor Day because of all the tourism in Michigan. Yeah. So when you can't start until after Labor Day, there's really no other option. Now in New Jersey, Spike, don't you guys start in August, don't you?
No, we start in September. There's a some sort of understanding that they have with the NJEA that I don't think they start before Labor Day, and if they do, if it's in September, it may be just professional development days, but there's something that has to do with Labor Day. I know Pennsylvania starts a little bit early, and I believe Delaware does too. Those are the 2 states that are closest to us. So, and I'm not quite sure about New York. But, yeah, it does seem like we traditionally go longer, and I don't exactly know why that is. But we're going also a lot longer this year because of the whole, crazy winter that we had.
Yeah.
Bob, we did so many podcasts like of course on a Sunday night where it's like, we're going to be getting 5 to 6 inches. I've already gotten the call that we're going to be closing, and then like Teresa and Jessica, they're like, oh well, we already have 10 inches on the ground, and
we'll be at school tomorrow.
We'll be at school tomorrow. We're like, what? Like,
you have the snow tires on. It's fine.
Like we were just rocked like never before. So so
ours in Detroit was record breaking. We had the most snow in Detroit that we've ever had, ever. So it was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was bad here too. I want to say we had schools that were like out 17 days.
Oh my gosh.
God.
Like rural Missouri. Do you guys know Will Chamberlain at all? You know him on Twitter?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Will, 17 days he was out. And so, yeah, at some point in time, he's like, well, I guess sometime soon we'll be learning again. Yeah, he was just, I mean, his schools are 70 miles apart in
Oh
the same
my
school district.
goodness.
Yeah,
That's
like
crazy.
the two elementary schools are like they're 70 miles apart. It's crazy.
Oh my goodness. That is crazy.
That's yeah.
That's
I always
ridiculous.
crack on. We always crack on Jessica, being out in Wisconsin and all the
Yeah.
ruralness, but like that seems pretty rural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so what we wanted to talk about, our main topic tonight was Ed Camp USA, but just for our viewers and listeners, Bob, just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became connected, because I think when I think of the set of pioneers, the trailblazers on Twitter, connected educators, I know that your name comes up. So tell us a little bit how you got started and a little bit about your education journey.
Yeah, sure. I was a principal for 14 years, so this is the first full year of me not being a head of a school in a long time.
Wow.
And I'm sure we'll go into that in more detail, but I was a middle school principal for a part of what I was doing, but I was in that school of 150, and in that school, it can be a pretty lonely place at 150 kids, right? You're the only principal around. You're the only person in the building. You're not, and so it was kind of by necessity to become connected. And so there were a few folks that were here in St. Louis, Kyle Pace being one of them, and I went to the first Ed Camp Kansas City, and I think that's really what kicked off me being a connected educator. Should I try to find a better spot, guys? Video not good.
I think there's some lag. It's freezing at certain points. But I was just checking with Spike. I wasn't sure if it was me or if it was you guys because my cord is off. Is there a spot in your house that would be better?
Yeah, give me
It's not a problem. Spike and I'll go. You go ahead and find it.
Okay, sounds good.
No problem. So Spike actually.
I was wondering about that, Teresa.
Yeah, I'm glad. Okay, good. I thought it was me because I'm in a different spot, but I was plugged in, so I wasn't sure how that. But Spike, actually, while we're sitting here and we're alone and chatting, Brian
I think we're alone now.
While we're alone, while we're broadcasting live on
YouTube.
The internet, YouTube, while we're alone with 100,000 of our closest friends. Brian Alabek is in the chat room, and he's asking when your book gets released to the public.
I don't have a date on that. It's sometime in the fall.
Okay, that's what I said. I thought it was September, but you can pre-order it now. That's correct.
Yes, pre-orders are available if you want to, check out Corwin's Connected Educator series, or I can tweet out the link to the post that I did that has all the information on it. So
sure, that'd be awesome. And why don't you tell the people who are listening who because I know you've got talk about what your book what it covers, and then I know you've got some cool stuff going on at the end of the chapters that I think some people might be interested in too.
Well, I think the stuff going on at the end of the chapters is cool just because it is from the perspective of there's about 6 connected educators that I work with to kind of help them tell their story. So each of the chapters has a theme, and then throughout that theme we focus in on folks like Brad Gustafson, Tad Haynes, researchers Jeff Carpenter and Dan Krupka, Ben Gilpin and Amber Tiemann. There's also a little story in there by a woman named Teresa Stager.
Kind of unknown. Nobody really knows who she is. But
first year principal, and then also Melinda Miller. So, but basically, the book is just a practical guide to help educators and connected educators see the power of social media and how it can help you to basically transform as a leader.
And what's really cool about that, the reason that I brought up the little vignettes at the end of the chapters is what's really nice about that is that it is real world experience, and it's talking about how, how these educators found being connected and what they're doing with it now and how it's helped their career. So if you haven't seen a whole lot about Spike's book, it's definitely going to be, we kind of got an advanced kind of look through when he submitted it, and it's a great book. So make sure that you're pre-ordering it. And this is also in a series with Joe Sanfilippo and Tony Sinanis also have a book.
Yeah, there's a lot. Peter DeWitt has a book coming out. Tom Whitby and Steve Anderson, Pernell Rip, I believe is one. Refrance Davis. I think there's about 10 of them coming out. So it should be really cool.
Yeah, Corwin's done a nice job of, it looks like, rounding up the troops and getting everybody under contract, and they really have. And so I give Eric credit. I guess some of us, probably most of us do, for kind of rounding up the troops. My work with Corwin's probably another 6 to 8 months behind, but it's in process too. So
cool, that's great.
Oh yeah, talk about what you're doing, Bob.
Yeah, so I actually have a book coming out this fall too, and this isn't a Corwin book, but it's called Engage, Energize, Empower: Leading Tomorrow's Schools Today, I think is the official title now.
Oh.
And so it really focuses on how to go from being a manager to being a leader again. Because I think a lot of us have these great ambitions, and we all want to be a leader, and then we fall into this trap of managing. And then how do you get back out of that trap? So it really tells the story of a fictitious principal that kind of finds these 10 ways to go back to leading. And so I'm really excited about it because it's really stuff that's really high engagement stuff for kids, but it talks about how do you actually do that with the community and parents and your staff, and how do you get to those places, and then what rewards do you get for your kids for taking some risk and doing these things. And so really excited about it. And it really took 10 years of my career and basically put them between two hardcovers. And so that was pretty exciting too, because once I went into kind of this technology and innovation space, I didn't want to lose the wisdom of the principalship. And so that was part of the reason why I did that. So it worked out really nice.
So can you tell us a little bit? You were starting earlier. So you were principal for 14 years. Is that right?
Yeah, 3 different schools, assistant principal, all middle school, and it went from a building of 1,000 to a building
God bless you.
to a building of 150. And
wow.
The building of 150 was an awesome experience. And I think I was saying before that's the piece where I said I need to be connected to some other people that really want to be change agents, and because I was finding it to be kind of a innovation desert around me. And so I started reaching out to folks and being a part of the conversation. Ended up at my first ISTE in Philadelphia 4 or 5 years ago, and was like, oh, there are other people out here. And so ever since, it's been, connecting with people all the time. And so no matter probably every state in the country, there's somebody right now. So that's kind of neat.
That's pretty cool. So, and I think like I was reading through your bio and everything like that. So once you became connected, you started connecting with these folks. You said you went to Ed Camp, and that was in St. Louis.
Yeah, the one in Kansas City, and now I've been with Kyle Pace, who that was the first kickoff of Ed Camp in Missouri, and then I've been the co-founder of the Ed Camp St. Louis event for the last 3 years. And so we had close to 500 people at our Ed Camp last February. It was complete insanity, and it was so awesome. It was it was a big, messy day, and I love big, messy days. It was awesome. It was fantastic.
Great. The best. I love how you say that, because it's so true. Like, you both know, like, being principals, it's like, and I've said that before.
Every day's a big, messy day.
Yeah, learning and schools can get real messy,
Yeah.
So much better that way. So then, can I jump in real quick, Spike?
You can jump in as much as you want.
What a guy. Isn't he the best? Happy Father's Day, by the way, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I hope it was a wonderful day.
It was fun.
Good. I'm glad. Hopefully everybody had a good rest. It's Father's Day for if you're watching this later. We're doing this on Father's Day, and these wonderful men have given up their evening to come and chat with us. So, or come and chat with me, I guess. They're chatting with each other. Whatever. So anyway, so there we go. They don't let me out very often. I don't go off script because I can't.
She's right. She normally, that's why I was a little bit surprised. I'm like, she's like going off script. I don't know.
I bring
Whoa.
impromptu out for on everybody. I don't think
Yeah, see, that's why. It's like, oh, this is a safe place. Bob's making us feel safe.
It
But we tell
Bob
the kids, right? This is a safe place. This is a safe environment for you to be,
right.
you know. Okay, so just for anybody who's watching, in case there's anyone out there who does not know what an ed camp is. Oh, can one of you explain that? Because if not, the show's going to be over a lot of people's heads.
Yeah, I'll take a run at it. And actually, there's a great book coming out about Ed Camp that Kristen Swanson wrote.
Oh, yes.
Who is part of the Ed Camp Foundation. So Ed Camp is an informal, free gathering of folks, usually on a Saturday, where folks are coming together to talk about innovation and best practice. I think they just went over 500 different Ed Camps have now happened over the last 5 years. And usually the day is driven by the participants. So there's no set sessions. There's no agenda. It is truly participant driven. And it is usually a magical time for folks that come for the first time to actually feel the energy of why they joined the profession. That's my best shot at Ed Camp.
I think that was great. I went to my first one a few years ago, and it was called Pad Camp by Kevin Jarrett down here in South Jersey. And exactly. And in fact, what I tried to do, and this is actually in digital leadership, because Eric had interviewed me about that. I tried to take that model and put it into our own professional development. I was hooked right away because it's that unprofessional development. So Hey, Teresa, just to give you an idea about Mr. Dillon here, he did his first blog post on Saturday, February 27, 2010. Tell you.
Wow.
I went back and read it because I
jumped on both feet, huh?
I need to go back there and read it.
I love reading people's first blogs. I think it's an overlooked thing, and it was just talks about how you were, taking this journey, and now you're ready to start a new journey. I think you became the principal and jumped right into it because it's so funny. Because I always tell this story because I think it's very interesting that with Teresa, she's like got to become a principal, and then she's like, I want to learn as much as I can, and then basically, like every Sunday we've been doing these podcasts, and it's just it's just been great to watch that development. So yeah, you did it. You were starting on Monday, and that was your first blog post.
I have to say that I'm a journalism major originally. So
wow.
Yeah, and so I went through college and secondary ed and journalism, and then taught like yearbook and newspaper and English. And so writing's always been a piece, and so sometimes it's an outlet. Now it just happens to be a big public outlet that anyone can go look at, and so which is okay. This transparency has been much more comfortable for me than other people. My blending of personal and professional and just being who you are. I've just become comfortable with that. I know people cringe sometimes about like, how much of my life am I letting everyone see? I've just kind of gotten over that, and the benefits have been much, much better than the risk, I guess, for me. And I know it's a personal thing, but it's been good for me.
Well, it's true, but it seems, I feel like, especially for people who want to help others learn, as like administrators and other teachers, for people who are purely in it for the learning and the teaching, I think that transparency is important, because without blogs like yours and Spike's and Jess's and people who are willing to put it out there as a reflection, people like myself in first year principal roles might have a more difficult time. It's, the one thing that I said, I just had an interview with Chris Nesi on his House of EdTech podcast last week. And one of the things he had asked was about, how did this help in your first year? And the biggest thing was being able to go on to Voxer, for example, and say, you're never going to believe what happened in my building today. My parking lot was on fire. We can't get out of the parking lot. I mean, there's like just the crap that you'd be able to share. And for me to be able to get experienced people who say, you know what, that's ridiculous. It's completely insane, but you're going to get through it. And believe it or not, it's going to get worse and it's going to get better, but you're going to make it and it's going to be okay. And I think, and then they would share stories about, you know, my first year as a principal, or the first time I walked into this building, or, you know, Spike had a water main break over Christmas or sometime around there. I mean, you know, things like that, as you go, you know what, everybody's dealing with it, but without being able to have that conversation or read about the conversation, I think it's a struggle for first year people, because I mean, I would have gone through this year literally banging my head against the wall every day.
Yeah, I mean, I still remember. I mean, I had, you know, Chris Lehman has a water main break story, right? Like SLA flooded, like the first summer they were there, and that's crazy. And then, you know, I remember I have a friend of mine who's just retired, mid-50s, but the day that I just totally lost it, like I had done discipline for 6 straight hours as an assistant. I picked up like a whole handful of files and just like chucked them across the room and like totally black. And he reminds me of the story all the time, but I'm like, what do these kids want? And I like, boom, threw shit across the room. And he's like, yeah, you had totally lost it that day. And so, but you know, that was nice. It was nice to have somebody there. I was so lucky. I got hired way, way too young to be an assistant principal. And but I had 3 great people that mentored me, and we all need that, right? We just need people that'll, because, you know, people at home can care for us. They just don't get it.
Right. That's a great point.
That's a really good quote.
And that sort of goes into, and we do appreciate people like yourself, Bob, because we do know that you guys were trailblazers. So, and with that, you know, a lot of you got a chance to get down to Ed Camp USA, which was, I guess, the first Ed Camp at the Department of Education, and also involving our Secretary of Education. So how did that all come about? Like, how'd you get invited to that?
Yeah, and so, crazy story, I'm at the Florida Education Technology Conference, which is a great conference, by the way. Never a bad idea to go to Orlando for a conference.
Yeah, no doubt. Is it in like February or a time?
It's the last week of January. It's awesome.
Score.
So I'm presenting down there, actually walking through the exhibit hall, and Kristen Swanson runs over to me and says, "We're having Ed Camp at the White House. We're having Ed Camp in the White House. You have to be there." I'm like, okay, tell me when it's going to be. And that's how it happened. It was crazy. Apparently, she'd just gotten off the phone with, like, the undersecretary, Richard Collada. I think he's the undersecretary of education. And they had just confirmed it. And I think I was the first person after she got off the phone to confirm it.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, like, I saw, like, the absolute raw emotion of her being able to score that event. And so I know there are a lot of people made it happen, but that was fun. But and then just squeezed it in. And actually the harder part for me was trying to convince my wife that I needed to be there when we were on vacation in Denver. Yeah, we were playing in the mountains for 4 days. And so I said, I have to leave Denver and fly to D.C. And so she said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much does this one matter? And I said, it's at least an 8. So we made good.
Nice.
So it was an 8, huh?
It was an 8. I don't know what a 10 would be, but it's an 8.
I don't know. That's pretty. I mean, when I was reading, you know, like the tweets and some of the posts that some people have taught, you know, because it seemed like it was pretty big, you know. So okay, so we'll take the 8, Teresa.
Yeah,
I think so. You know, I actually
the Principal Cast podcast was like a 7.5.
Yeah, well played. Well played. This guy's good.
Well, you know what though? He did get off. He got off the plane and he direct messaged me. It was very similar to the Kristen Swanson story, but it was just like, hey, I got a cool story I got to share with you, you know. And he came to us first.
I did. It's exclusive. So.
It's exclusive. Exclusive on Camp USA Stories by Bob Dillon.
Yeah. No, you know what? Actually, the greatest part about it is probably the people you saw tweeting was like, oh, it's the same cast of characters. But there was a whole group of folks there that were brand new to probably not Ed Camp, but like interacting with the group of people that were there. And so there were people from tons of different places and tons of small towns. And, that's not going to show up in the social media world, but it was a great experience for those folks to take home and, take back for their professional development, take back to their buildings. It was, as I said in my blog, I think it was the end of the beginning of Ed Camp. It really, I think, put a stake in the ground.
So how much did Arnie Duncan participate?
He was there and came in and looked at the board and said it was neat, and
he was there.
Was attentive, and then and he made an appearance, which was nice.
Because I was wondering if he
shook Tom Whitby's hand. I think that was really the seminal moment of the whole thing. So
wow.
Right. But he didn't participate in the actual, like, any of the sessions or anything like that, or?
Yeah, he did not. And so there were a number of department people there, and then also a number of other Washington folks from different agencies and lobbying folks and that were there. And so I think it was a good way to get some exposure. And then there were some people from the department that were just overwhelmed that teachers would pay money to come to the Department of Ed to have a conversation about learning. So I think that said something to them.
That's a lot. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So what were some of the sessions?
There was a concerted effort to talk about solutions and not problems, which I appreciated. I've always kind of called myself a solutionist because I don't like to dwell on problem, because I think we can turn into a really bad teacher's lounge. Ed Camp can totally digress into a bad teacher's lounge for a half a day unless you really have people focused on solutions. So we were talking about, like, what could the Department of Ed do to raise awareness about good things going on. I think really when I boiled everything down, there was a lot of conversation about there are pockets of excellence everywhere and no one knows about them. And how do we fix that? How do we let, it's really hard for principals, teachers, superintendents. If you say to them, like, tell me the best 10 stories that happened in your learning space this week, like, people freeze. They're like deer in the headlights. And so I don't know, as educators and learners, we do a very good job of telling our story. I mean, we said that earlier, but I think we still have a huge gap in that space. And so that was a really good conversation around that. And then there were some things about how to act now and ask for permission later. That was actually a theme that came up, and so I like that one.
Talk to us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I actually, the session I led, and just I'll wander there, is that I talked about a culture of yes. And as the director of innovation, a big part of my role is never to say no to anyone. Apparently I didn't know that when you go to Disneyland or Disney World, apparently they cannot tell you no. Did you know that?
No.
So, like, you're perfectly played.
Yeah, no.
That was well played.
So yeah, you're like, hey, can you give me this? And they can't say no. They have to say, well, yes, or yes, let's figure that out, or let me help you with that. And so I just think that's huge in education, is that a teacher comes, has this idea, and as a principal, sometimes it's a nonverbal. It doesn't even have to be a verbal no. You shut them down. They go back and tell 5 more people. They don't want to hear it. I've had this great idea. They wouldn't listen to it, and it's gone. And the whole culture of innovation is gone from your place.
I completely agree. I think I've been in many of those situations where I continue to say yes to things, and because I just feel like it's just that it's funny. It's like it's that much easier and it's that much harder. It's easier in the sense to say, okay, well, this is going to be your idea, so you're going to have to go through it. But then to also acknowledge that it takes some courage, because I think traditionally principals have been in the culture of no.
Yeah. Actually, when I was hired, they said, we need you to come in and say yes. And so it's been fun. It's been a part of my job is to come in, someone comes with an idea, and I say, let's figure out how to make it happen. And we have this really cool trust sharing ideas flow going now in the Afton School District. And so I should mention Afton's like 2,500 kids, K-12. So we have a high school of 800. It's actually a great sized school district to come in and make change. And so I've probably made every change you can make in the technology sector there in 18 months. And the board's been on board. Teachers have been good with it. My superintendent's a total gem that totally gets the need for change. And we've taken a place that was 10 years behind, and now people in St. Louis are looking and saying, we want to come visit Afton. How are you guys pulling this off? What are you doing? And so it's been a absolutely marvelous project and journey for me. It's been fun. So I try to tell that story every time I can, because I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't tell the Afton story and tell people to tell their stories, right?
Exactly.
So.
Well, I mean, I just think the fact that, like you're saying, like I was hired to say yes. Okay, so I read this this thing that was in the Heckinger report.
Mm-hmm.
That was last week or the week after, is like something about like we need gutsy leaders.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I completely agreed with it. You know, yes, we do need gutsy leaders, but the fact of the things that you're telling us, that really does fly in the face of like how things have been done in education, because it's usually not a system of yes, it's not a culture of yes, and in fact they don't necessarily always want gutsy leaders, you know. And I don't know, you know, you have obviously way more experience than I do, and you've been around, you know, around the country at different places, but I mean, the fact that you even have innovation in the part of your job description, you know, does say something about your school district.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, I think if you look at a number of really, really good like independent and private schools, you'll start to see that title in places. And I think it's just starting to leak into the public school vein. And I've noticed that both in Atlanta and in Memphis, where I've done some work, that they have kind of chief innovation officers or, you know, those types of titles. And they're really freeing someone up in their schedule to be the cheerleader and catalyst for change. Because we all know, like, as a principal, there are times when the logistics and management of the day just take over. And it's so easy to fall away from, you know, what do I want to change? How am I going to do this? And so you almost have to have someone that is their role. And so it's fun. And I hope to have this role for a long time, no matter what seat I'm sitting in. So.
Well, it sounds like it would be a hard role to keep up with. You know what I mean? Too. So, because if you want to be the chief innovation, you know, person in your school district, I mean, what got you there is not going to be what keeps you there, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think that, thank goodness my boss says, go visit other places, go see what good stuff's going on. If I didn't have that, there'd be no way to kind of stay current, because it's not like St. Louis is busting down the door of all things innovation. But the fact that, you know, I can reach out to all the connected principals, all the connected leaders, and see the programming that they have, I can bring that stuff back home. And so it's been great. We actually just landed, it looks like, the Chromebook Institute in St. Louis in 2015. The first one's in Chicago this week. The folks at Glenbrook North, maybe, are running that. And so we're excited because Afton will be hosting kind of a regional conference, and that'll be a first for that school district next summer. So we're excited about that.
That's awesome. I mean, you have so many exciting things going on. Could you take us through? Could you take us through like a typical day of innovation at Afton?
Yeah, oftentimes it is me wandering around buildings and kind of getting a lay of the land and what's going on. Sometimes I'm having to extract stories out of places, take a lot of pictures, and do that piece. I'm also kind of a cross-pollinator of ideas, and maybe a first grade class is doing something awesome, and a fourth grade class right down the hall never knew that, but they're doing the same project, and bringing those folks across to collaborate. And then sometimes teachers are willing to say things to me that they won't their principals. So sometimes I have to play that intermediary role of so-and-so wants to do this. I want to support them. I think you should too. And so helping our school leaders kind of have that same culture of yes is a piece. And then I am also always kind of having higher level conversation with our senior leadership. And so I feel like at times I'm kind of the pulse on the district. And so I'm everywhere from switches and ports and the technology guy to the bytes and bits to actually sitting down with some first graders and reading a story. So it's a pretty freewheeling sort of day. So it's great.
That's awesome. Teresa, I know what you must be thinking about. Could you imagine have somebody that just was there to constantly try to make you innovative and all that kind of stuff in your school district?
You know what? I feel like, in all honesty, I feel like that's kind of what I was brought in to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a lot of what we've spent the year doing. What would be amazing is if I had someone to do it instead of me.
Yeah.
So that I could I could work on the day-to-day operations of the building. But I mean, it's amazing that they have hired and put out for a position purely for that. It's amazing.
Yeah. Now, the job was originally the director of technology, right? And I morphed it into this innovation role.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do the technology stuff and stuff that I don't get, but I have good people that work for me, and I can say I don't understand what this is, but it's nice to be more in the instructional side of the house. So, and we're really excited. We've made big gains. I don't know. Are you guys familiar with Bright Bites? Trying not to do advertisement, but
feel free to do advertisement.
Yeah. So no,
Yeah.
Bright Bites. That's I think who actually pays Kristen Swanson's bills. So that's who she works for during the day. They're out in San Francisco, but they have probably the best set of metrics around technology integration that I've ever seen. So you're able to actually see teachers are using these things. They're making a difference in learning. And I think they just went over 1,000 school districts and 11,000 students are a part of this now. So it's a survey, but the reports and the metrics that you get are incredible. So Rob Mancabelli, who wrote the Professional Learning Networks book with Will Richardson, it's his project right now. So if you've read the Rob and Will book on professional learning networks, but it has completely transformed our common language around technology, our trust by the Board of Education, our data conversations. And so it's been really nice to have something like that. And I think that company has done fabulous things, and they're getting ready to explode even bigger. So
that's interesting. There are a couple of things that I thought about that. I was in a Edmodo group that they're studying Eric's digital leadership. So one of the chapters I taught, that Eric had interviewed me for was, marking the growth of technology used by teachers and students. So we use the McCrell walkthrough system, and It has the technology piece there, so you can see, what students are doing, in your 3 to 5 minutes, and what the teacher's doing, and then within that, with technology, then what the different uses are. And it was interesting because since I've gotten there, the technology use has grown, and right now that's really our only metric that we can use. So this sounds interesting. I did tweet that out. I guess they're at Bright Bites. But it's a metrics on technology, because you'd mentioned the Board of Education, and oftentimes Board of Educations are really looking for that, so why are we doing this, and how's it helping students? And you're saying that they'll help you with that?
Absolutely. I mean, dig into it. It is I think it's the gold standard around that. It's taking us away from technology being an arms race, like how much stuff do you have, to how well are you using it. It really is changing the conversation for us, and so we've been happy with it. And I actually have a chance to talk at the Missouri School Boards Association in the fall, and so we're going to walk through our process in using that. So we're pretty excited. And I think almost the entire state of Iowa is using it also. I'm actually surprised that people aren't more vocal about it, because I know that everybody I talk to says it's a home run for them in their district. So
I would definitely check that out. That sounds pretty cool. And it looks like I just checked on there, and they're going to ISTE too. So
yeah.
I'm sure that they will.
Are you guys going down there?
We're not going. I think Jeff is going in person. I know we had issues with all the snow this year. I had a thing a week-long thing that I have to do, and it was pushed into that week because of all of our snow. Everything got pushed because school is out late. But we are doing. Jeff is with TeacherCast is broadcasting every day from ISTE, and I think this is going to be one of the. Spike, am I right on this? That this is going to be one of the shows.
Yeah.
He broadcasts.
He has from 9 to 12 every day at ISTE. He has interviews set up with folks, and then I'm sure he's going to grab some people there. And then he's also going to be running some different promotional things about his channel. So so this will be part of it. So
I don't know what to think about being back at ISTE again. So it's been a while. It's one of those things where I will not probably learn very much by sitting in sessions, even though every session I sit in I learn something.
Right.
It's absolutely one of those times where you have to almost let the conference come to you as opposed to you come to the conference.
Okay.
Otherwise, I get real kind of not tense and stressed out, but like I just feel like if I kind of say, here's what I want to get out of it, and I show up, and that doesn't happen, then I get real frustrated. So like it's just one of those things, you just kind of let it come to you, and however it plays, good stuff will happen. Now try to sell that to your board and your superintendent. Like, yeah, I'm just going to go down and let the conference come to me. It should be fine.
It'll be great. It should work just fine. I don't see any. I can't imagine any issues with that kind of conversation. Maybe that's one of those where you act first and ask later, huh?
Yeah.
Just go.
So actually, the really nice thing, I just hired a brand new one-to-one coordinator, and so this will actually be like the third day he's on the job. I'm taking him to ISTE, so that's always a good start, right?
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. Welcome to the jungle. Just like throw him in that expo hall and say go, right?
Baptism by fire.
That's awesome. So, when you go, you said you haven't been to ISTE in a while?
Yeah, 5 years. I think in Philadelphia. I think that was.
Oh, okay.
It's been a long time. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to. I get down there early on Friday, which is well ahead of the conference getting started on Saturday. I'm actually going to try to do a school tour on Friday while I'm down there. That's actually one of my favorite things to do when I'm in a town is go walk through a school.
Oh, cool.
I learn a ton. When I came to Edscape, I came a day early and hung out in New Milford, which was great.
Oh, yeah.
I ended up with Eric and George at an Italian restaurant before we went to a high school football game. So that was before Edscape. Yeah, that was a mess, but it was great. It was one of those things where you actually have a sense of what's going on, and you can get through kind of the dog and pony show a little bit that way. So it's good.
That sounds great. Is there anything that you're looking for specifically when you go? I know you said you're going to let the conference come to you, but are you excited about? Any of maybe the keynotes or maybe some of the folks that you'll be meeting up with?
What are you hoping finds you, Bob?
Right. Actually, I have a short thing that I'm doing down there with Dell. We're a strategic partner with Dell for our Chromebooks. And so I'm doing a piece on the power of storytelling down there. And so that'll be good. And I oftentimes will go listen to connected learners and leaders that I haven't seen in person.
Okay.
When I was in Florida, I went and saw Lynn Hilt, who was fantastic. I'd learned from her for years, I'd never seen her present, and I showed up, and she's like, "You don't need to be in here," but there's something totally different, like after you've seen someone present. And so I'll pick out 5 or 6 people that I know and respect already that I'll probably go sit in their sessions. So that'll be fun.
That should be cool. And it seems like I guess Adam Bello will be back again. I really enjoyed his. I didn't go last year, but I did see his closing of ISTE. He did a great job. He had the Google Glass on and everything like that. It looks like he's getting ready for that as well.
Yeah, Adam is one of the smartest guys I know. I just like to sit next to him. I feel like I learn by I get smarter by osmosis.
Osmosis.
Next to Adam Bello. So I actually had a chance. I was at the Maryland Tech Conference, and Adam spoke there, so that was kind of fun. So
he spoke at our Michigan Tech Conference as well this year.
Oh, wow.
He did the opening keynote.
Nice. I'm hoping to get to Michigan. I had a conversation with Aaron Klein for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
There's another person I had learned from for years and never met, and I met her in D.C. at EdCamp USA. So she's trying to convince me to come up to Michigan. So I'd like to come up and
sure.
see good things up there. So
she's actually going to be on the show next week. We're going to be talking about her plans for ISTE and the different things that she's going on.
Yeah. You need to ask her about never sleeping. She says she pulls all-nighters all the time. I'm like,
wow.
How old are you? I'm like, how do you do that? I'm like,
oh my gosh.
Oh, no, I can't see that because she's so.
At Camp USA, she had like a 7 o'clock flight, and she's like, well, I don't have a hotel room for the last night. I'm just going to stay up and work on some stuff. I'm like, okay, I don't know how people do that. I was blown away. I'm like, I'm like, okay, have a good night, morning.
Good luck with that.
Have a good night.
And morning. I can't wait to ask her about that next week.
I don't know.
We have Craig Yen, who's in the chat room.
Okay.
He's actually not in there this week, but he's in there every other week. And he's every week he's in the chat room. And he is an educator in California. And even though there's a time difference, I mean, I get that we're on Eastern time and he's on Pacific time. I get that. But he is tweeting 24 hours a day. The man is putting out information, and he's not like buffering information or setting it up on Hootsuite. He's having conversations 24 hours a day. And he's another one that I am convinced does not sleep. He can't. Yeah. Unless he's taking like 20-minute power naps.
I like my sleep.
Me too. Nothing is worth a loss of sleep.
I'll tell you, one of my favorite things about Father's Day today was taking a nap. That's like one of my favorite things to do on the weekends. I think it makes me so much more refreshed and ready to go. Plus Sundays are long, especially with this. So you have ISTE's coming up, and then do you have anything else that's on your docket for the rest of the summer?
You know, I should mention that I'm involved with a project in Guatemala. We have brought a technology literacy program down to about 5 schools. And so, and so school year ends there in October. And so we have to make some decisions about what the next school year starting in January is going to look like. Are we going to expand that? Are we going to try to plant a school there? Some pretty interesting things coming up. But I was able to be in country in September, and it was a fabulous experience. We actually have started a program in a school that has no electricity, where they have a tablet and a projector, and they do guided reading for an hour and a half, 3 days a week after school with a generator.
What?
I'll tell the story real quick. So we get there, and I'm like, this is never going to work here. We drove like 20K up into the mountains. No electricity when we get there. But the neighbor across the street had electricity. So we ran the extension cord out the window, over the barbed wire fence, across the street, over the hedges, in the side of this person's house, and stuck 2 bare wires into an outlet to get the projector to work. And these kids that had never seen a projected image before on like a little tablet were doing like these guided reading. It was unbelievable.
Crazy.
Yeah. And so my role now is to get schools in the States who are interested in participating. And we have some things where they're building children's books that are being used in country for the reading program. And so we had about 8 schools this year participate. And, we're trying to figure out, we don't need 80 more schools to sign up here. We only have 5 schools down there. So a lot of things coming there. So that's going on for me. And then I'm actually headed to Nebraska for the Nebraska EdTech Conference in October. Speaking there with they have some great people in Nebraska. I don't know if you guys know, Brett Catlett's there, and Josh Allen's there, and Kristen Peters is there, and Craig Bentur. They have a great group of people in Nebraska, and so excited to go chat with them. And then actually beyond my work at Afton, I'm doing a little bit of work at a high school down in North Carolina. So I stay busy.
Sounds that way. all while still getting your recommended amount of sleep.
I try, yes.
You may have to do a presentation on that, because I'm pretty sure most of us haven't figured out how to be able to do that yet.
I do say that I try to get more done between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. than most people do in those 10 hours. But catching up with me is usually a trip at school. Like, you're never in your office. That's true. You're never.
Right.
You're not in a building. No, you catch me if you can is kind of how I play that. So, but it's fun.
Maybe that's the way to get things done.
Right, hide.
Yeah, I like that.
And so, no, but I love it, and I've totally bought into the idea that what I do is a lifestyle and a culture and not just a job. And once you're there, I don't know, it's just a lot of fun. I love what I'm doing, and I still find time for my 6 and 9-year-old daughters who are both just a blast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Teresa, do you think maybe we should play a little word association with Mr. Dillon?
I feel like we should.
I'm super excited about this. This is really why I wanted to be on the podcast.
So
I did a 20-mile run. I did a 20-mile run before the Nashville Marathon, and I was listening to the podcast, and so it feels like that's when I always listen to the podcast.
I don't know how I feel about that.
That's awesome.
So,
He needs a marathon to be able to get through the podcast.
It took it was great. It took at least 7 miles off the trip. So, but
oh, good.
The word association that night had me literally laughing out loud while I was running. So it was fantastic.
It must have been the night that we had one of the Wisconsin educators on.
It was.
So there you go. Okay.
Just
let me reiterate the rules. just so that if Jess were to jump on right now, we can make sure she knew what we were doing. All right, so Bob, we're going to give you Spike. Do you have words? I can't get into the doc.
They're
okay.
up.
So all right, so Spike has a list of words that he's going to give you. Our words may be more than one word. Okay, it might be a sentence.
Right.
Might be, okay. That being said, your answer, no matter what, can be one word.
Gotcha.
Unless you can use a hyphen where it's supposed to be appropriately used.
Right.
You're not just adding random hyphens to make it a word. So
no hashtags that are
right.
80 words long. So yeah.
Exactly.
No, sir.
All right. So I think we have someone who knows how to play the game. So
I think we do. Yeah, I think.
Let's see if we can get some good words and make somebody else laugh on their.
I'm still not a good rule follower, but that's fine.
You're an innovator.
The cool thing too is that Jeff has been extracting this out, and now he's putting those up on TeacherCast, so the word association. So that'll be really cool. So, all right. So now we're gonna play a little game called word association. As Teresa said, we can say as many words as we want. You can only say one.
It's kind of baloney, but that's the way the game goes.
That's right.
Hey, it's your house rules.
That's right.
Are
like
you ready to
guy.
play? Next season, I need some more. I need something, some sort of musical thing, or a bell or something like that. Are you ready to play? So.
Oh, I can find it.
We're working on that. So, all right. So you can't get in the doc, so it's on me.
No, it's all you.
Okay.
Sound effects are for season 2 there.
Okay. Ed Camp.
Invigorating.
USA Soccer.
Pumped.
You did see what he's wearing, right, Teresa?
I thought he was wearing a scarf. Are you wearing a scarf?
Yes.
Is it cold in St. Louis?
No, it's my U.S. national team scarf.
Oh, well done, home of the brave. I like it. Go team. And yesterday was
Go
Flag Day,
USA.
so it's the
I
best.
will be taking off work a bit early to reserve my seat at my favorite place of watching, and my family will be joining me for the second half. So that's how we go here.
Awesome.
All right. So I did have to have him explain a couple things here, but at least he's doing good.
He answered it in one word, though.
2 for 2. Right?
We prodded. That was worth it.
All right. Next one, Arnie Duncan.
Trying.
Okay. I didn't know we were on another delay there. Or not. Sometimes silence is. We've heard the silence stuff.
Homophones rock, by the way.
All right. Ready?
Yeah, keep that out. Homophones rock. There you go.
Innovation.
Necessary.
Blogging.
Open.
Ooh, good one.
Here's one of those ones where, like, I can say some more things, but you're only going to say one. The next big thing.
Nothing.
Oh. Nothing. Okay.
I think you're going to want me to explain that, so if you
No. I'm not.
It's going to be a cliffhanger for the next episode.
That's right. I think he wants to explain it, Teresa. All right, go ahead, Bob.
He's like pulling his scarf around his neck. I know. It's okay. Explain it.
No, I just think that we all start chasing things down rabbit holes. If we just stop thinking about the next big thing, we'd be okay. Like it's a fool's waste of oxygen to be thinking about the next big thing. How about just doing some of the stuff that we have right now? And we can't incorporate new stuff, but there's no silver bullets, a lot of silver buckshot. Let's leave it at that.
I love that. You know what? And Teresa, here's a guy who's, they probably joke when he leaves the building, there goes Mr. Innovation, like here comes Mr. Innovation. And he, really looks at the next biggest thing as, be careful to go down that rabbit hole. I think that's very mature of him.
I love the stuff that they were talking about. Who'd you have on that was talking about augmented reality? Brad?
Oh,
Brad Gustafson.
Yeah.
Totally cool, but that's not the next big thing either. Like, I was like totally jazzed about it, love it. It works for them, but it's not the next big thing.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, Brad.
It's not gonna work in St. Louis.
Okay,
No.
back at it. Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
iPads.
Dying.
Okay. Blocking websites.
Waste of time. Hyphenated.
No, we got him. Because you know what? And that was
Random hyphens.
Bob, when you said that you were also involved in both sides of the houses of technology, now it's like Game of Thrones,
Right.
The house of, the ed tech side, and then the informational tech side. Yeah. I had to throw that in there because guess what normally comes out of the informational technology side?
Yeah. It's
the net nannies and the blocking websites.
Yeah,
okay.
Every time someone asked this year, the answer was yes, and I just didn't tell everybody. And then people would randomly go, "Hey, YouTube's open. Did you know?" Yeah, I opened it, but I didn't tell the whole district. And it just someone needed it, so you do it. And you know what? If kids have to go home to have a passion-based education experience for 18 hours, we're not doing something right. So if we've got it shut down so tight that they can't experience at least something close to what they get at home, then it's never going to work.
Interesting. I think we struck a chord there.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Okay, next one is Twitter.
Saving.
Saving.
Yeah.
Saving.
It saves great educators.
Do you travel to Wisconsin a
He
lot?
couldn't.
I can't
He
do
couldn't
it.
stop. He couldn't. That was the best. What do they call that in music? Where you like really you extend that out, Teresa.
It's a fermata.
That's the best fermata that I've heard.
It's the first
Saved.
fermata that I've ever had in my life. So
But you tried. You tried.
Love
A
it.
for effort.
Okay.
Hold on, there was one in the in the chat room they have a word association with you.
oh no.
Yeah. It is Chromebooks.
Fantastic.
Here's another one.
That's the
Running.
only one I have.
Soul giving. That's an appropriate hyphen.
Just because you put the word soul in, we're gonna have. Okay, Bob. Yeah, I got you.
Soul giving.
If you're doing 20-mile runs and you're listening to the Principal Cast, I'm thinking we may be able to give him another word, another hyphen, fermata,
I'm running the New York Marathon in November.
Nice.
I'm super pumped. It will be number 10.
Oh wow.
Your 10th.
Yeah.
Your 10th marathon.
Yeah, which may be my last, but I'm getting slower as opposed to faster. So it's fantastic, though. It's the only thing that keeps all of the insanity of my life in check. And so I run 3 days a week. I'm no Jess Stumpenhorst. He's run like 800 straight days.
That's
Oh my
crazy.
gosh.
Yeah, I've participated in 2 of the 800 days with him, but 800 straight days he's run a mile or more.
That's crazy. And where is he at again? He's like also it can get cold where he lives, right?
Yeah, he's in Chicago. Yeah, he's got these pictures of him with like a frozen head,
That's horrible.
Yeah, he doesn't run when it's nice. When he was here in St. Louis, he keynoted our tech conference, and he said it was the first day in like 2 weeks it had been above 0 when he was running.
Oh my God.
Awesome.
All right, I got one last one for you.
Yeah.
Now this one, because of the the way that you're going to respond to this, we're pretty open here. Major Twitter influencer of you.
Yeah. At Chris Lehman.
Okay. At Chris Lehman, the infamous principal of the SLA and host of the, and I always forget. EduCon, yes. I love that conference.
Yeah. Chris is a courageous, brave person, and we just don't have enough people that are willing to just step out there. And, man, Philadelphia is a train wreck, and he has somehow found this little place to take care of kids in a total train wreck. So I give him a lot of credit.
He's awesome. I've talked about him. We have to get him on the show. I've talked about my visit. We went to EduCon. We went and visited his school during the day to see the real deal. And I'll tell you what, it's interesting because like that guy, I remember there was a kid who was crying. Now it's high school you're talking, and something had happened, and he was made aware of it, and he's like, I really hope you guys understand, but I need to go attend to this. Like we were just finishing up too, but it was just real, it was like that's what he really cared about,
Yeah.
I know with me, I mean, I have kids crying all the time, so I just
Hopefully you're not making them cry.
That's right, and sometimes I am making them.
No. I forgot to mention, I'm actually going to the elementary principals conference, which I've never been to, in Nashville.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. And so Joe Mazza has me doing something down there, the social media lounge.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to that. I wasn't able to get the funding, but yes, Joe Mazza and Vicky Day and Tony Sinanis did a great job last year. Todd Whitaker hangs out in the social media lounge. Like
Melinda Miller will be down there, so she's a great Missouri person. She's as good as it gets.
She is. Hey, she she's been on the podcast. She brings home the book too. She talks about the transformation because she's another one of the trailblazers.
Yeah.
So and now it is wow. This is great. But so now it's time for our principles to follow on Twitter. Each week we like to encourage everyone to expand their PLN to follow a new leader on Twitter. Of course, this week I'm going to go with @IdeaGuy42, also known as Bob Dillon. We have to ask Bob how often, because it's just like with me being named Spike, how often do people make comments about you and the name Bob Dillon?
Oh yeah, you just gotta let it. It's how it goes. So it's just you roll with it, So I introed the keynote at the Martin Institute, and I said, "Good afternoon, or good morning. I'm Bob Dillon." Okay, get it out of your system, everybody. And so, yeah, it's and it's funny. I was with Bob Dillon Sr. celebrating my dad's Father's Day today, so I'm actually a junior. So believe it or not, I'm actually Bob Dillon Jr. So yeah, it's even crazier. It gets worse.
It's even crazier.
It's worse before it gets better.
Generational thing. Yeah, we were actually gonna because we have done this in the past. Like we had Tech Ninja Todd on, and I dressed up like a ninja, and like we were going to do like the singer-songwriter thing. If only I knew how to play the guitar.
We had talked about trying to weave in lyrics to Bob Dylan songs in the questions that we were asking you.
Don't try so hard.
My husband thought it would be hysterical. He's like, this would be so funny. I'm like, I'm just not that creative, dude.
Oh, it would have been great.
But, I mean, what are we going to do?
Oh.
So my principal to follow for this week is Jason Bodnar. And he actually also has a principals podcast. He's a first-year principal, and he has started a podcast called Principally Speaking, and you can find it at principallyspeaking.com. And I'm actually doing an interview with him tomorrow on his podcast about, go first-year principals. So, but he's a great person. He loves to learn, and so definitely follow him. He is at Mr. Jason Bodnar, Bodnar.
That's interesting because do you know that Bob's blog is a principal speaking?
I did not. Look at that.
How about that?
Look at that.
I've been tinkering with changing it since I'm not in the principalship anymore. But once a principal, always a principal, right?
That's right.
Well, I think you should go with like innovationally speaking.
Right. Hey, you know what? You guys also inspired me. I should tell you, you guys told me about the Minnesota Digital Leadership Challenge, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that Kurt Reese and company all did, right?
Yes.
Is that who it was?
And Brad Gustafson.
Yeah, there's like 11 people. It's awesome. And I actually am working on an innovative leadership challenge. And there's 4 parts to it now, and it's almost ready for prime time. So I'll make sure you guys get that once I have it. But
Please.
It's all about it's about being connected. It's about having courage. It's about helping teachers and leaders learn beyond the classroom. And so, but yeah, I was inspired by that, and I learned about that on this podcast. So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome because one of the things that I'm trying to do for my teachers is have a digital challenge this summer, and I'm looking actually for different maybe ed tech companies and some of the companies that I deal with on a regular basis to kind of help out because I want it to be all classroom based, and I'm looking to have them do some different things that they would normally not do. Over the summer to get ready, for their new class and their new room.
What are you calling it, Spike?
A Spike's challenge. I don't know. I wish I had a cool name or something like that.
Describe it again for me. What are you doing?
I'm
trying to tweet it.
It's going to be a digital leadership. It's going to be a digital challenge of some sort. I know you're trying to help me out here, but I haven't
That's
come
okay.
up with anything. But I love the idea that they have for that, and so I look at it like it's part badging, it's also part gamification, it's also kind of part like scavenger hunt, and because some of them are really cool. They'll just tell you go on Twitter chat, listen to a podcast, those type of things. But what I'm trying to do is trying to have them do some different things, like, so when the students come back, have an iMovie trailer for your classroom, work on a new design, based on 21st century for your classroom, and try to get those things sponsored. That's what I'm working on.
Spike, two things that I ask people all the time are, who are 10 people that do your job better than you? And then ask them to go learn with those people. So just for educators to think about 10 people that do their job, the one they do, better than them, and that they can learn from. I think that's a cool list to make. And then the other is 10 classrooms around the state, around the country that you'd like to go sit and have an hour in. And even if they can't do it, I think it pushes folks to think about awesome classrooms.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So would you like to give any shout-outs to any folks? Mr.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, Kevin Grauer, is actually the principal at Maplewood Richmond Heights High School. They were just named one of the NASSP breakthrough schools, and that's my community school. So Kevin is rock solid, and and he has a blog, and he is on Twitter from time to time, and he actually just sent me something tonight, not knowing I was here, and so that's how serendipity works, right? So he gets named, Kevin Grauer, and he's been there 5 or 6 years, and just fantastic guy. I'm sure he is rooting on the Spurs tonight to beat the Heat.
Oh,
so,
right.
He's a big NBA guy, but a great principal and a great friend.
And what's
Bob, can you give us his Twitter handle?
Oh yeah, he's at K Grauer, which is I actually put it on the doc, so let me find it. Grauer, Grawer, so at K Grauer.
Got it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
well, this has been awesome.
Yes,
By
thank
far,
you so much.
Awesome.
Yes.
it was fun, guys. I'm glad to do it. So hopefully I can get back to another face-to-face conversation with each of you sometime in the near future. That's my hope.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So.
Okay, so once again, we want to thank our guest, Bob Dillon. You can follow him at IdeaGuy42 on Twitter, and be sure to check out his blog, Principally Speaking. That's aprinciplespeaking.blogspot.com. We also want to thank our sponsor, Storyboard That. Again, remember, all our loyal TeacherCast followers can enjoy 25% off any package purchased today at storyboardthat.com/teachercast. Make sure to follow Jeff Bradbury at TeacherCast. He's our producer, helps us out with everything. He has teachercast.net, and they're also going through a huge remake of his website and updating, so keep checking out checking back for all the different things that are going on at teachercast.net. Teresa, did you have anything else?
I don't think so. I think I'm good. Bob, anything for the good of the order?
No, go USA.
Go USA.
I'm sleeping in my scarf tonight. We're good.
That's awesome.
Don't choke yourself. That might not be the best decision. That might not be the best choice. Throwing it out there.
Spike, I'm sorry you have to actually go back to work tomorrow with kids, but I hope your last few days go well.
Oh, thanks, man. I have a set of grade level meetings for my new grade levels for next year, and so I'm going to be hitting the ground running, meeting with teachers, talking about next year and different things that are going on. Okay, so once again, thank you so much, and just to let you know, next week is our episode 32, and that's June 22nd. We will be featuring Erin Klein, and she will be helping us do an ISTE pre-show. So we look forward to having her next week. And once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Teresa, you got to do it.
I got to do it. Principal Cast out.